Welcome to the Wayfinder Podcast hosted by So Far Ocean. Today we're joined by Peter Søbygge of Uni-Tankers, where he's been running fleet operations for the past 8 years. In today's episode, we'll go into where inefficiencies actually show up in tanker operations, why the fastest route is not always the best route, and how weather and digitalization are changing how crews and shore teams make decisions together. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Welcome to the Wayfinder Podcast. Today's episode is about one of the most popular terms in shipping, namely operational efficiency. It appears in strategy plans, chartering conversation, performance reviews, decarbonization work, and CapEx discussions. So for a ship owner, operational efficiency is not an abstract idea. It's a result of many decisions made in real world every single day. And to help us make this more practical, we're joined today by Peter Søbygge from Uni-Tankers, a Danish company that was founded in 1995 and is part of the USTC group. Peter is in the 8th year of leading the operations for Uni-Tanker fleet that consists of more than 40 product tankers. So Peter, welcome to the Wayfinder Podcast.
Thank you, Thomas. And first of all, thank you for having me. It's an interesting topic that we'll be talking about today, and something that is on the top of everybody's heads these days, especially in this digital transformation that a lot of us and other ship owners are undergoing and exploring these days.
For sure. And speaking of it, operational efficiency, what does that phrase mean for Uni-Tankers?
Well, I think that when people hear the phrase operational efficiency, they often think about fuel consumption or vessel cost, vessel speed. But for me, operational efficiency is much broader than that. It's about consistently making the best possible decisions throughout a voyage. Every day, our teams are balancing safety, customer commitments, weather conditions, fuel consumption, emissions, compliance requirements, commercial obligations, and vessel performance in general. And the challenge is not, optimizing one of these factors, is trying to bind them together and doing the optimization all together. So again, it's many factors, and it's many small decisions that can impact the daily and also the operational efficiency of our fleet.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Peter. Mentioning all these many areas of optimization, as a product tanker owner, what would you say are the sort of most important areas to optimize if you had to pick a few?
Well, I think that is a good question, and I think it's very difficult to be precise and to maybe just make it a single KPI. I think it's a constant series of trade-offs, and do we increase speed? Do we slow down? Do we alter course? Do we arrive earlier? Do we optimize for fuel, or do we optimize the schedule? So there's rarely, I'd say, a perfect answer to that. But I think what we're trying to find is a balance for the fleet and for the voyages that we are performing. So again, it's many things, minor and bigger. Yes.
And I guess it can vary from voyage to voyage, depending on...
It does, and especially in our line of business where we have, short sea and deep sea voyages. So it depends a bit on the trade lanes.
Yeah, of course. So, and I get that point. It's a very good point. It's difficult to sort of point to one area, but if we flip it around then a little, so if we then look at the inefficiencies, could you talk a little bit about where do they usually hide in tanker operations?
I think that inefficiencies, they rarely come from one major mistake. It is more often dozens of small decisions, and it comes and it hides in many different places, but especially between, of course, vessel and shore. The planning and execution of voyages, commercial and operational priorities, weather information and operational decisions, port expectations and actual conditions. For example, a vessel may increase speed to meet an ETA only to discover that the berth is unavailable, or weather conditions may change faster than expected and force adjustments later in the voyage. So there's a lot of places where inefficiency hides and comes into play for the different scenarios that a voyage carries with it.
Yeah. Would you say, Peter, elaborating on that, would you say that inefficiency often comes from uncertainty?
I think that is a good point, because yes, it comes from uncertainty. It comes from, let's say, not having maybe the right tools or the right fundament for making the right decisions. And that's where, again, we as a company, Uni-Tankers, are exploring, the digitalization systems, platforms that can support us making the right decisions because of uncertainty in the different phases of a voyage, from negotiation to execution to post-voyage evaluations, to make sure that we can try and minimize this uncertainty, which, as I said, gives a lot of these wrong decisions maybe, and even also makes the voyage inefficient, of course.
Yeah, makes sense. So, talking about these voyage decisions that can be many and often changes along the way, where do you see sort of small voyage decisions later creating a big business impact?
Well, I think it already comes down to the pre-planning phase of a voyage. And it doesn't matter if it's a short sea voyage or a deep sea voyage. It is the planning between shore people and also our seafarers. And the only way we can do that is with the pre-planning and having the discussions and having the good planning together. We have in Uni-Tankers seen that, of course, we try to make the right decisions. We have systems, we have experts and tools that can support that. But we have also been missing a few links there to bind it together. And that's where this weather routing and optimization tool comes in, that gives us better support and also for better decision making.
Yeah. Peter, this may be, basic stuff for you, but for people not working in sort of tank operations on a daily basis, could you try and elaborate a little on how speed decisions can affect commercial results?
Yeah, I think there is also a misunderstanding in shipping in general that the faster is always better. That is what many hear and what many see, but I think it's the objective is not to arrive as early as possible. The objective is to arrive at the right time, and that again depends on the voyage itself, the contract, how things are put together, and the customers involved, the different trade lanes. But for us at Uni-Tankers, our contracts are mainly put together in the way that we have a laycan, which is a window where the vessel needs to arrive within. And if we arrive within that window, then we are able to arrive. We are able to tender what is called a notice of readiness. And that means that the time commences under the contract. And the customer has time available according to the contract, and if more is used, then the vessel is on demurrage, as we call it. And for us, that means that most of the time it makes sense for us to arrive within that window, of course, and then the time starts counting. But if we can already see that the vessel is arriving earlier than the agreed window, then of course it does not make any sense for us to rush the vessel and speed up and arrive as early as possible, because arriving before the agreed window, we will not be able to start counting time and also start accumulating demurrage. So if arriving earlier, we would definitely try to maybe slow down a bit and arrive earlier, meaning that we will lower fuel consumption. We will also, it will have an impact on our emissions and the costs associated with that. So there are many factors into this. But of course, on the other hand, if we see weather conditions, port congestion, or some operational changes that could put our schedule at risk, then increasing speed may help protect the commitment to a customer, or avoid further delays downstream, or at least. And also, one of the most important thing is to, maintain the commercial flexibility and also the commercial commitment that we have towards our customers. So the most efficient speed is therefore not always the highest speed or the lowest speed. It's what supports the overall voyage outcome, the best overall voyage outcome.
Makes sense. So what you're saying here is that in this decision-making process, obviously balancing time, fuel consumption, emissions footprint, and the commercial contract, one of the factors that could make that difficult is obviously weather, as you said. That so these weather. How can these how can it affect sort of both cost and performance and uncertainty in this decision?
The weather factor.
Yeah.
The weather factor can have a huge impact on the voyage itself, and usually the biggest impact is that we can lose business, of course, that we have a contract that we have agreed to and that we have to arrive within a window. And if the weather, of course, all of a sudden deteriorates and means that vessel is on the way and not meeting the contractual window, then the business can be cancelled, and they will fix with other vessels that might be closer by and able to meet their demands. So again, that is where the huge commercial impact. And of course, also delays for cargoes on board and for windows that we need to meet for customers. And of course, again, the most important thing is crew safety, of course.
So it's safe to say that better weather data has a direct impact to your ability to plan better, perform your contracts better safety, and at the end of the day, increase your operational efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. So overall, better route planning, improved situational awareness, safer decision making, reduced fuel consumption, as you say, correct, and lower emissions, and of course, a better coordination between vessels and shore teams.
All right. And connecting what you've been mentioning before, Peter, about really being a people business, and technology and platforms are fine, but of course it is a people business. So how much would you say, how much of operational efficiency is about people and culture really in this cooperation between people and technology?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one thing we should never underestimate that is culture, and technology does not replace experience. It does not replace seamanship, and technology does not replace judgment. In fact, the more digital we become, the more important human judgment becomes. The trust between vessel and shore remains as essential as ever. So of course, I would say that the culture is very much in focus between the people and the technology. involved, and that we can put it into that the operation or the vessel has operational reality, and that the short team has more of a fleet-wide visibility and commercial context, and together that that makes decisions easier when it comes together and more visible in the commercial context.
I think that's a very good point, Peter. And one thing doesn't replace the other. I mean, we in today's world we cannot live without technology. I would say in the complex world we're living in, but again, technology cannot replace people. Is that?
That is right. So the strongest decisions happen when these two perspectives they come together. The technology and the people behind it, and that they are binded together. That's where we really see the force behind these newer technologies, these platforms. Also with the Wayfinder, that we give our people much better grounds for making the correct decisions.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Peter. And I think that the increasing complexity we're experiencing is also giving a higher need for technology. I mean, I remember in the good old days when I was a young guy, you could handle everything with a napkin and a pencil and a mobile phone, right? But
That's right.
if we're trying to sort of deep dive into some areas like risk and compliance, and maybe also reputation with your clients. So I guess, Peter, we've been talking about operational efficiencies on some of these sort of, let's call them the good old fashioned aspects, the contractual compliance, making sure you arrive on time. Of course, the profitability. How much fuel are you burning compared to what time is worth? But in today's world, there is also now a more added layer to that, which is sort of compliance and that complexity. How do you see that affects your operational planning and efficiency today? And what I'm thinking about is stuff like the EU ETS, FuelEU, all these regulations that are coming into effect.
Well, there's a lot of these having a huge impact on our business as well, especially as you mentioned, EU ETS and FuelEU, and also now the UK is implementing their own EU or ETS scheme, which is another additional layer on top. So there's a lot of things to be taken into consideration also when it comes to operational efficiency and how to make the right decisions when it comes to considering EU ETS and FuelEU, especially to the costs associated with it. And also we see on voice results along with the EU ETS and FuelEU maritime, how it is impacting us and our customers, especially the meaning that we via these tools, these platforms will also enable us to make better decisions towards these compliance and administrative complex things that we are also seeing as a ship owner operator in these parts of the world. So of course it is being factored in, and it's becoming more and more important. And that's also why we are engaging very much in this on a daily basis, where we have dedicated people looking into this. But we've also seen that we need the tools, and we also, like Wayfinder here, will be able to assist us making again the right decisions. And we have people who can from that also use it towards the jobs that they have.
So basically, sort of to round off, I think you mentioned it in the beginning, Peter, that really looking into operational optimization. It's not about picking one or two big topics. It's really about having the ability to balance a complex, very complex universe with many different stakeholders and many different aspects you need to consider, and having the systems in place to cater for that, depending on the voyage at hand, contract at hand, and obviously the weather and so forth. Would you say that sort of rounded off nicely?
I would say that is exactly what we are looking into, and we here at Uni-Tankers are trying to achieve with the tools that we are implementing and the digital journey that we are currently on, trying to have all these aspects put into it and giving us the best base to make decisions from, and also to align with what our owners' expectations are and our clients' expectations are.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much, Peter. It's always very inspiring both to see and hear more about the work that you do in Uni-Tankers and the tremendous journey you're on, both being true to sort of the traditional shipping and the people involved in that, both ashore and on your ships, but also embracing technology and the opportunities that come with that. So thank you very much for joining us on the Wayfinder podcast here. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's always nice to hear more about Uni-Tankers. I wish you safe sailing ahead.
Thank you very much, Thomas. It was a pleasure, and the same for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter and Thomas, for such an engaging conversation. It was interesting to hear you talk through how technology can support decision-making, but ultimately it does not replace judgment, seamanship, or the trust between vessel and shore. Thank you for watching and listening to the Wayfinder podcast. Please like and subscribe in the links below.